the previous chapter, we showed the evidence for the existence of the continents of Atlantis and Mu, and that these continents were sunk by the flood. In other words, the continents of Atlantis and Mu definitely existed and were definitely sunk by the flood. So what happened in Mu and Atlantis? What was the connection of these two sunken continents with the dimensional beings? First of all, according to ancient records, dimensional beings somehow crossed over into our dimension before the flood. Because before the flood, the kings of countries all over the world were these dimensional beings, also known as aliens. The presence of ancient statues and idols in the form of aliens and reptilians from ancient times all over the world clearly shows this. Remember, in parts 3 and 4, we explained with evidence that both jinns and aliens have the same characteristics. We explained that both aliens and jinn are dimensional beings, that they appear in our dimension in the form of aliens and reptiles, that they communicate with humans through magic, that they live longer than humans, that they can live in space, that they created polytheistic religions by telling humans that they are intermediaries between them and the Creator, that they can have relations with human women, and many other characteristics. Now, in the light of this information, you will realize that these gods who are mentioned in all the ancient records as coming down from the sky have the same characteristics. That is, they are all jinn, that is, aliens. In the clay tablets called Sumerian king lists found by Layard and Woolley in Mesopotamia, we have already seen in the previous chapter that at the top of the list, before the normal kings, there are rulers who each lived for almost 10,000 years. According to the tablets, it is written that they ruled the country for a long time before the flood and then handed it over to humans. Similarly, Babylonian texts explain this event with a phrase like, "when the kingdom descended from the sky." The same is also found in the Egyptian tablets. At the top of the list of Egyptian kings are kings who do not have human characteristics, who have the characteristics of the jinn and aliens we have already described. Early Egyptian kings, such as Ra, Isis, Horus, Osiris, fall into this category, and as we all know, these god kings do not have human characteristics. According to the Egyptian inscriptions before the pyramids, in the period called Tepzepi, which is the beginning of everything, the sky gods who came from the stars with their flying vehicles built civilizations from mud and water. The gods after them were the children of those first sky gods. Hindu legends from 15,000 years ago often speak of a reptilian race called Naga, who came from the sky and brought knowledge to humans. The Nagas merged with humans to form the noble race. In the book Chilambalam, the sacred book of the jaguar priests, it says, "The path of the stars was opened, and the 13 and 9 gods descended from the sky." So the ancient Native Americans were also ruled by non-human beings from the sky. It is possible to find different versions of the humanoid snake race in many historical records. For example, the Hopi Indians believe that in ancient times, during a time of war, they were hidden in a cave underground by snake people and were rescued by these snake people. Of course, this is an exceptional example. If you follow our documentary, you will see that the serpentine race often does bad things to humans. They try to become the gods of humans. They enslave humans and force human sacrifices. As in the case of magic, it is certain that the first favors that the serpentine race does to humans are for their own benefit. Just like this, the archaeologist Augustus Laplangian found a carving of a 12-headed snake in a mausoleum in Yucatan in the Americas. Plangian later found an inscription explaining that this snake symbol was the symbol of the 12 Mayan dynasties that ruled for 18,000 years before the Kan dynasty. This same information was confirmed by the Chinese book Tichi. In Japan too, there is documentation that the dynasty of the 12 kings ruled for 18,000 years. The same information is mentioned in an ancient Indian manuscript. According to the Greek historian Herodotus, in his work he saw 343 giant statues made of wood in the Temple of Theb in Egypt. Among these statues of Egyptian rulers were statues of non-human gods who descended from the sky and ruled people before human kings. According to the records of Chaldea, around 16,000 years BC, the Tolan II Atlantis Confederation was living its heyday in the Middle East and Africa, and the rule of this confederation was in the hands of wise kings descended from Venus. In Sumerian tablets, it is stated that the most powerful gods were the Anunnaki, who could fly. Below them were gods who could not fly. These gods were humanoid, but essentially had no form and could take on any form. The author John A. Keel, an expert on the paranormal, has also stated that the reptilian race from outer space played the role of gods in past societies and that human sacrifice was their work.